Today is World Suicide Prevention Day, and I'm inclined to say a few words. As those of you who know me know, I'm very private, and then there's those of you who think you know me. You know, that's funny. But what I want to talk about, it is every one of our responsibility to um, help with suicide prevention. There are two types. There are those people who actually commit suicide. That means we can't save them. That means the act has been done. And then there are those people who attempt suicide because of underlying issues. In my native Guyana, a young lady traveled approximately 300 miles so that she can jump from the world's highest single drop waterfalls to commit suicide. No one knew. Now, we learned after the fact it was a suicide. Then there are those people who will attempt to drink some poison, take some pills, and they are basically crying out for help. Those are the people we can reach. Those are the people we can prevent from doing the act. Often when they try to commit the act, they're not really trying to kill themselves, but they're trying to draw attention to an underlying problem. Often many of these people are depressed, and so they want to draw attention to the depression. Some of them are abused, and they want to draw attention to the abuse that they're suffering. Some of them are hopeless and feeling that the world has done them wrong, so they want to draw your attention to that. Some of them may have just suffered financial losses or a whole. What I'm saying is that there is a whole lot of reasons why a person attempts suicide, and none of it has to do with the fact that they're weak. That a lot of strong people suffer depression. We don't know what is going to cause us to feel a certain way tomorrow and what will be our response. So the mind is fragile, and anything can cause one to break. Now, 16 years ago, I attempted suicide, and the reasons behind it, I'm not at liberty to share because I like to remain private. But the fact that I'm telling you that I try to commit suicide is enough. I don't need to tell you why I try to commit suicide. But in the years since then, I've learned that a few things. One, I've learned this concept that I use called an emotional hostage. Some people are held hostage emotionally, and that leads them to try to commit suicide. Yeah, on top of the depression. Emotional abuse is far more prevalent than physical abuse. Physical abuse, you can see the signs. You can see the black eyes, the women who hide behind dark glasses. You can see the broken arms, the busted lips. Yeah, those things you can see, those physical things. But mental, emotional abuse, you don't see the scars until someone attempts to commit suicide because of that abuse. Then you get an idea. You know, a lot of us like to say we love somebody, and or we like to also say, "You're my friend. Call me for anything." But then when your friend is in a state of depression, in a state where they need someone to talk to find resources to help them, you're not available. Some of us will see our friend calling and we'll say, "Oh, she's calling with some nonsense again. I ain't got time for she. But take the call. You never know why your friend is calling. Often people text and they use terminology. We all can prevent suicide. We can't stop suicide. It's impossible to stop people from killing themselves. But we can reduce the number of people who attempt and who actually do. If we become more involved in those we love lives, if we become more meaningful friends, if we become more meaningful partners, if we become more meaningful husbands and wives, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, basically it's a community effort to prevent suicide. Um, Suicide is on the rise here in the United States, and in my native Guyana, the government pays a lot of lip service to it, and it's also on the rise there. One of the things about statistics on suicide is that it's voluntarily reported by the nations to the World Health Organization. So if a nation does not accurately report the number of cases of suicide, then you don't get an accurate picture. The last statistics that I saw on Guyana was 44.1 per 100,000. That is what we call the per capita rate, which ranks Guyana as the highest per capita rate of suicide. There's a gentleman that said the other day some statistics, and I'm still waiting for him to validate his statistics, that suicide in Guyana is actually down. What is actually down in Guyana is the reporting of suicide, because the media was sensitized as to reporting of suicide. And because it's not being reported in the media, some folks think that that means that the suicide rate is down in Guyana. No, it's not. The government of Guyana does not accurately track suicides either. So you can never get an accurate picture. So for the gentleman that thinks in his organization that suicide rates are down, you have another thing coming. You need to get up off your behind and go do some research, rather than rely on anecdotal evidence that people feed you to massage your ego, so to speak. But you see, there are people in the trenches like myself who actually are doing the research to find the numbers. And I'm going to tell you, it's hard getting those numbers. So I cannot go out on a limb and say that the suicide rate in Guyana is going down, because I don't have any accurate numbers. So I don't understand how other people who are living thousands of miles away from Guyana can claim that they're getting these numbers, and they can claim that there's evidence to support it. They haven't published it, but they talk about it. They're on radio and television shows talking about it, and they're parading themselves as advocates for suicide prevention, when what they're advocating under the banner of suicide prevention is their own egos, so to speak. You know, I can start calling off a litany of people who have kidnapped and held hostage suicide prevention for their own personal celebrity. And I refuse to partner with people like that. I continue to fund my own research. I continue to go into the backwoods, and I have a partner, she would remain nameless because she knows who she is, that goes and do the footwork and shares with me the statistics that she finds out. And I accept her numbers over the others, because she's actually in the field doing the work. So today is World Suicide Prevention Day. It is all of our responsibilities to prevent and to stop. If it's just one person we stop from committing suicide, we have done a good job. We can work together to bring the numbers down. But what I don't want people to be doing, and this is why it's kind of hard for me to make this video, to put it out there, I don't want people to kidnap this health crisis that is of epic proportions as we speak. Some 800,000 people a year kill themselves worldwide, and that is only the numbers reported. I like to use what is called the 2-for-1 ratio. So for every one that is reported, there's 2 unreported. So that means that number can be tripled, right? to give you an idea of how many people are killing themselves. And as I said earlier, it's on the rise in many states. There's many contributing factors. Don't let me dwell on that. But what my message is today is that we need to stop and take some time to be human beings. Human beings cannot function without interaction with each other. So when you don't pay attention to your family members, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wives, your daughters, your sons, when you don't get involved in their lives, you miss when there are changes going on. And you don't have communication between you and people. They cannot communicate to you what is bothering them. Often they don't want to go to professionals. Often it's just a conversation with you and them that can help defray, wrong word, can help stop and prevent suicide, right? That can bring somebody thing. I was once asked, what do you tell a person that said they want to kill themselves? I said, never tell them don't kill themselves. People say, why will you say that? I said, because why would you want to tell somebody not to do something? Oftentimes we rebel against what we're told not to do. So your goal is to sit down and say, now, why would you want to do that? What would cause you to think that killing yourself would solve whatever problems you got? And often that person will begin to have a conversation with you. And then you begin to learn things. And that is how you're preventing suicide. So the hero that goes out there to tell the person, you're mad for trying to commit suicide. What's wrong with you? You're stupidity. It's a weak mind. As the president of Guyana once said, in my presence, happy people don't commit suicide. Boy, I think he needs to be sent to school to learn a few things. Happy people do commit suicide. Because happy people can be happy and depressed. Yes. Because depression is a mental illness that can affect you. One day you can be the happiest person in the world, and the next day you can feel totally like you're unworthy of anything. And that can be the moment that you break and kill yourself. So there's a happy person who goes through an emotional roller coaster. So for anyone to think that happy people don't commit suicide, I'm going to leave that alone because I'm already controversial. And I know some of you are going to go do your normal, let's paint this boy the colors that he's not. But I thank you for listening. And I implore you to please become an ear and to become a voice and not an echo. Because when you're a voice, people will hear you. When you're an echo, you're just repeating what people have told you. Go out there and learn your own statistics. Go out there and think. Volunteer. Listen, you don't have to do it in front of the cameras. All right? You ever see a movie? And you ever watch the credits at the end of the movie? You get to see all the people in front of the camera. And you think that they're the ones that made the movie. They're not the ones that made the movie. Those hundreds of people that roll in at the end that takes sometimes 10 minutes to roll the credits of all the people who contributed to the movie. Be one of those people that is behind the scenes getting it done. Let somebody else be the celebrity while you do the hard work. Thank you for listening. Let's prevent suicide and help bring it down.